Okay, let's call the meeting to order and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to our roll call, we have to have oath of office.
All right,
Are we gonna stand?
stand and raise your right hand, please. Okay. I state your name,
I,
Joe
Wayne
John
Boucher,
Geisler,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of, state your office,
and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of council member
of the city of Hermantown in the county of St. Louis,
the city of Hermantown, in the county of St. Louis,
in the state of Minnesota, to the best of my judgment and ability.
the
state of Minnesota, to the best of my judgment and ability.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson,
Here.
Counselor Geisler,
Here.
Counselor Jelly,
Here.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Here.
Mayor Boucher.
Here. Welcome, Counselor Peterson.
Thank you very much.
Announcements. Do any counselors have announcements that they'd like to make?
Peterson, none this evening.
Anybody else? The one thing I'd like to say is we all know it, but I'd like to just continue to point out that our former state representative, Mary Murphy, died within the last few weeks, and acknowledge her contributions to our community. If you drive through and look around you, you can't go anywhere without seeing something that her work touched. And we all appreciate the work that she did. Public hearing, we have none. Communications, there are none that are highlighted. Mr. Mulder, could you give us a short summation of the presentation that was given at pre-agenda?
So at pre-agenda, we just simply talked about the ongoing efforts to do a comprehensive plan and looking at the possibility of development and extending the urban service area to the southwestern portion of the city. And also then including the extension of water and sewer to that corner of the city and having a legislative ask to support the extension of those utilities.
Thank you. Public discussion. This is a time for individuals to address the council about any item not on the agenda. We ask that you limit your time to 3 minutes per person. There will be public discussion available during agenda items later. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the council under public discussion? Is there anyone online? Okay. If anyone wishes to speak to the council under public discussion, if you're online, please raise the hand in the applicable program, and otherwise step forward to the podium and state your name and address. Last opportunity for general public discussion. Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Quite a bit under the consent agenda. Minutes approval or correction of the December 16th, 2024 city council minutes. Accounts payable, approved general city warrants from December 16th, 2024 through December 31st, 2024 in the amount of $3,102,446.43. Motions, appointment of the official newspaper, appointment of depositories, appointment of Mayor Boucher as council's designated representative to the Hermantown Chamber of Commerce, appointment of Mayor Boucher, city representative on the Metropolitan Interstate Council with David Wolf, city engineer, on the Transportation Advisory Committee with Trish Crago, city utility and infrastructure director as an alternate, appointment of the following for 3-year terms: Planning and Zoning Commission, Corey Colquist, Park Board, Jim Sonneson, Dwight Morrison, Kelly Taskey, And the Board of Appeals and Adjustments, Gerald Wallace. Also resolutions 2025-01, resolution appointing John Geisler as acting mayor.
Maybe.
2025-02, appointing ex officio members to various boards and commissions. 2025-03, resolution authorizing and directing Mayor Wayne Boucher and City Administrator John Mulder to sign checks and drafts for the city of Hermantown, with alternates acting Mayor John Geisler and Director of Finance and Administration Kevin Orm. Ordinances 2024.
That's not part.
That's not part of it. Okay, that's the end of the consent agenda. Pretty long. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Counselor Jelly. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Counselor LeBlanc. Could we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Ordinances, we have the second reading of ordinance 2024-14. An ordinance amending Hermantown Code of Ordinances, section 270 fee schedule. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder.
This is just the fees for the licensing for the cannabis retail businesses.
Thank you. Is there any public input on this ordinance? Any public input on ordinance 2024-14? Any public input on the amending of Hermantown Code of Ordinances, section 270 fee schedule? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. And the next two ordinances will be first readings, so there won't be any motions needed. Ordinance 2025-01, an ordinance amending chapter 3 of the Hermantown Code of Ordinances by amending section 310 and repealing section 310A to continue to administer and regulate the public rights of way in the public interest and to provide for the issuance of regulation of right-of-way permits. This is the first reading. Mr. Mulder, could you give us a short explanation of this?
Basically, this ordinance is to regulate what happens in the right of way within the city. In part is to communicate to the utilities what our expectations are, but then also for the people that are working in our right of ways to get permits, and then so that we know what work is being done there, and so that we can, as we plan for future utility work, we'll know what's in our right of way.
Thank you. Is there any public input on this first reading of ordinance 2025-01? Any public input on the ordinance amending chapter 3 for right-of-way regulations? Is there any public input on this ordinance? Hearing none, we'll move on to the first reading of ordinance 2025-02, an ordinance amending and restating section 1060 erosion and sediment control for land disturbance activities and section 1080 control of post-construction stormwater runoff of the Hermantown City Code. Mr. Mulder, is there anyone on staff you'd like to address this?
Maybe David, you want to?
Yeah.
City engineer,
Yes,
Mr.
thank
Ball?
you, Mayor and Council. So this ordinance is amending section 1060 and 1080 of our stormwater ordinance. And the bulk of those changes are due to the new MS4 permit that the state put before us. So our old ordinance references MS4 that is has expired. So a lot of these changes reflect that. And the second piece of this amendment to the ordinance includes the the ability for determining the the square footage for pervious area is stated as 9,100 square feet. And in a couple of recent projects, the total lot area is below that 9,100. So we made an amendment in the ordinance to allow the city engineer to review and approve those projects that the impervious area is below the 9,100. So that's the nature of the changes.
Thank you. Could you again refresh us on what MS4 means?
So MS4 is municipal separate storm sewer system, and it's from the MPCA and the MPDS, and it's each municipality in the state is required to have adhere to the MS4 permit, and our ordinance is reflective of the items in the MS4 permit.
Thank you. Is there any public input on ordinance 2025-02? Is there any public input on the ordinance restating section 1060 and section 1080 of Hermantown City ordinances? Any public comment on ordinance 2025-02? Okay, and now we'll move on to things we'll be voting on. Resolutions. Resolution 2025-04. Resolution authorizing and directing mayor and city clerk to execute and deliver agreement for professional services with Northland Consulting Engineers, LLP, City Engineer Services. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Jelly. Mr. Mulder?
So this is an update of the contract between the city and Northland Consulting Engineers for city engineering services. The only changes were a slight increase in the engineering, the technician inspector rate, and the project engineer.
Thank you. I believe Counselor Geisler has something he'd like to comment on.
Sure, I'll just add that my son works for Northland Consulting Engineers, and the result of this contract has no financial benefit to he or I.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from counselors? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-04? Any public input on the agreement for professional services with Northland Consulting Engineers, LLP? Roll call, please.
Counselor LeBlanc.
Aye.
Excuse me. Counselor Peterson.
Aye.
Counselor Geisler.
Aye.
Counselor Jelly.
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-05. Resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk to execute and deliver the license agreement with South St. Louis Soil and Water Conservation District. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder, should we have Mr. Johnson explain this?
Yes, please.
Mr. Johnson.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Council. What this is a continuation of work that the Soil and Water Conservation District has done on Keene Creek. Back in 21 and 22, they did a remeandering as well as a stream bank restoration project, basically south of Keene Creek Park and within the park per se. This project is now a property that the city owns north of Morris Thomas Road. Keene Creek abuts Wilkerstrom Road in a couple of different areas. There's been some instances through the years of some gravel and potentially some salt coming in from the city maintenance of that creek, of the roadway, which is affecting the creek. Soil Conservation District wants to work on plans in 25 and then work in 26 to actually remeander the stream and pull it away from the actual road bed that way. There is funds 100% available through the Soils Conservation District. There is no cost to the city for this work.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council?
Is this gonna have any negative effects on our ability to develop or resell that property?
We've looked at this and it still falls within the wetland areas that really would be very, very difficult to develop, whether by the city or even by a potential future owner.
Does it extend the wetland areas into the?
No, it
property
does
further?
not.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on the resolution to deliver a license agreement with the South St. Louis Soil and Water Conservation District? Any public input on resolution 2025-05? Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-06. Resolution authorizing the city of Hermantown to accept the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources for the Regional Trail Program grant funding associated with the construction of Hermantown Community Connector Trail from Hermantown Road to Morris Thomas Road and Keene Creek Park to Stebner Road. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Counselor Peterson. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Counselor Jelly. Mr. Mulder.
We'll let Trish Kriego, our Utilities Director, to explain this.
Yes, thank you, Council and Mayor. This grant was awarded to us earlier in 2024. And as a formality, the state requires that we have a resolution accepting the funding post the award of the grant.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-06? Any public input on the authorization to accept a grant from the Minnesota Department of Resources? Roll call, please.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Resolution 2025-07. Resolution approving work order from Minnesota Power for installation of electrical service at the North Star Ford Arena estimated at $53,470. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor LeBlanc. Mr. Mulder?
So as part of the construction of the North Star Arena, we need to upgrade and move the electrical services. Minnesota Power requires that the work order be approved prior to the work being done. And because it was over $50,000, we brought it to the city council.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
Just as we earlier discussed, that this is part of the overall master budget and the scope of these dollars fall within the overall cost.
Thank you. Anything else from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on the resolution approving a work order from Minnesota Power for installation of electrical service at the North Star Ford Arena? Any public input on resolution 2025-07? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-08. Resolution approving change order numbers 10, 11, 12, and 13. KA change order number 3 for the North Star Ford Arena in the amount of $98,577.56. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion to Approve or deny?
To approve.
Motion by Counselor Peterson to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. Mr. Mulder?
So this might, on its face, look like it's a large change order, but what we're moving, we had some money in soft cost budgeted for various changes that we knew would have to make in the plan as it was reviewed by the Department of Labor and Industry. They've made that changes. We've made some changes because we had about $100,000 budgeted for those changes. They required a number of changes. So we're moving that from our soft costs to the construction costs. Also included in this is we added gates to the walking path up on Hawk Circle, so it doesn't become a driveway from the parking lot up there. We had a deduct for the cost of the drain tile. And we also made some changes to the dasher boards for player safety as well. So the total change order is 98,000, but within the 100,000 that we had planned for those changes.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
We had, well, I guess if this is all captured by the $100,000, it doesn't really matter, but we had money set aside for add-on options, right? There was extra money in the budget.
Yeah, we've got some contingency available. yes.
Yeah. How is that number looking? Have we used some of that yet?
We have used some contingency, but we are still 300-400, maybe more, 100,000 room yet.
Okay.
So I can give you a budget report at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see where we're at.
And also maybe at what time would we have to make that decision to make those expenditures? I think it was some floor coverings and
Yes.
epoxy floors and
Right.
things like that.
Any other comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on the resolution for change orders number 10, 11, 12, and 13 for the North Star Ford Arena? Last opportunity for public input on resolution 2025-08. Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-09. Resolution approving pay request number 7 for the North Star Ford Arena to Kraus Anderson Construction Company in the amount of $1,036,316.15. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Jelly. Mr. Mulder?
This is for the work KA has done in the last month on the North Star Ford Arena.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
Again, just a comment for the public that we had a report from the contractor that everything's on schedule and that's good to hear.
And just kind of a follow-up to your previous comment too, Counselor Blau, is city staff meets with KA at least on a monthly basis to review the budget because they're kind of managing their KA contract and we're kind of managing the soft costs. So as those things are shifting back and forth, everybody knows exactly how much is left in those contingencies and how those things are impacting each other.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? Any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-09? Is there any public input on the resolution approving pay request number 7 for the North Star Ford Arena to Kraus Anderson Construction Company? Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. And Mr. Mulder, do we have need of a closed session this evening?
We do not.
So we can cross that off our agenda. Would anyone like to make a motion to recess?
Motion to recess.
Motion by Counselor Jelly to recess. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.